Sci-fi, spaceship, economy, sandbox RPG, aka Mountain Blade in Space. The X series, primarily X4 for me, was exactly that. Start as a nobody, get better ships, complete missions, build a fleet, fuck shit up, and conquer the galaxy, economically or militarily. It's a hyper-simplified explanation of an amazing game I recommend to anyone who doesn't get motion sick. Avorion, a voxel-style shipbuilder with all the bells and whistles previously mentioned, with the added strategic bonus of allowing you to craft your ship from scratch. Cosmeteer, a tile assembly top-down style, lacking the vertigo that puts off some folks. This one's like Avorion in concept, but has some faster-than-light elements mixed in. Again, another phenomenal game I'd recommend to anyone. And if you don't know what faster than light is, I highly recommend you turn this off and go experience it a few dozen runs and come back. Not because of spoilers, but because it's worth it to know why it's so highly praised before you just hear it mentioned and not be able to Redford nod to the other invisible people watching. It's awesome. For those still present, there lies another monster in the void. A beast that, unfortunately, remains a cult hit because it's stuck in a limited market on its own website. Starsector. I tried out Starsector way back when it was first going by the name Starfarer, and simpler than the fleshier beast it is now. Same story as before, sci-fi spaceship economic production factional warfare sim RPG, but minus the shipbuilding. She's top-down, pre-built ships with a simple yet expansive customization system, and the combat looks pretty hairy, so I picked it up. Another straightforward game to enjoy, a bullet in my magazine of excellent games that I get to gush about to a friend. Should be easy enough.
I'll crush him in one blow.
Alright. Let's dance.
Starsector bounced me like a pinball pop bumper. The first time I fought in combat, I knew immediately something was wrong. Floating around in space combined with aiming required some kind of malfunctioning sector of my gray matter. The problem is simple though. Mad cuz bad. I enjoy trying to run before I can walk. This is a useful way to be when sheer grit and repetition can lock you in tight enough to push through. That never happened though. I was dying to the tutorial fight at the time. Why not reload the save and try again? It hurts me, and runs contrary to every instinct in my malfunctioning prefrontal cortex. But I did. Then I kept wiping my fleet. Restarted, failed, and did it again. I'm not sure why it played out the way it did, but clearly things should be different this time, right?
Ooh. Yeah.
I spent the first several hours completing the tutorial, and after meandering off to get my ass kicked a couple times, came back to work for Space Captain Hogwarts, Galatian Academy, for a job talking some Luddites, aka the Church of Lud, aka the Space Amish, into releasing a person who pissed them off. I talked some fancy talk using a special currency gained from leveling called story points, basically convincing the guy that Space Jakob Aman, who's the founder of the Amish Church, would have been merciful and let him walk. So I pocketed the cash instead of spending it on his release. Then, I picked up a mission to snag an item being smuggled by another Luddite, and she immediately started some bullshit trying to buffalo me into more money. She didn't. Finally, money. The shopping spree that followed felt really, really good. I was finally moving forward. I expanded my fleet, went out to try some surveying, happened across some pirates at a really bad angle, and tried to take a fight that went poorly. And back to square one. Look, I know I can't take these fights. I have to be careful. But the spaces between when you're traveling, knowing good and well that nothing's in the way for minutes at a stretch is just so fucking boring. I could always reload, except I won't. That's not in the spirit of the game. If I'm playing a game where death isn't real, and when I say real, I mean it within the context of your character dies in combat but never actually dies, I'm not fucking about with save scumming. Hardcore's an option, but I'd make even less distance than before. Restarting's an option, but I'm not doing it. Wiping the board and starting over is something I loathe more than anything, and I wrestle with an endless amount of desire to do it anyway. Many folks who play factory games will likely get this. Sometimes restarting's faster than taking the time to disassemble, organize, and build again. That's me. Throw all the Legos back in the bin, shake it till everything's broken up again, and start over. Fuck that. Andy, you might be obsessive.
I know.
The battles are fucking rad, even if I suck at them. However, losing your fleet and rebuilding is so much worse than losing an army in Bannerlord, for example. Getting dragged around the map, watching the bandits high-five and hand-job each other because a lone random javelin caught your windpipe through your gorget on your foot-wide goiter is fucking annoying. But at least when it's over, I'm a single tournament away from resupplying, grabbing some fresh country bumpkins to catch the few javelins for me, and being back on my feet. This? One ought to buy a couple ships, try your hand at something foolish, die, and get 2 free ships and more cash all over again. It's counterintuitive to me, I guess. I know I've crossed the line from criticism into whining. I decided to go back to missions to see if simply following a thread down a rabbit hole over engaging with the broader map was a better option. I'd rather slam my dick in a door than do the fleet wipe rebuild shuffle again. But it's your choice that makes it so difficult.
I know.
It was about right here that things fell into place. The missions I started doing weren't difficult if I kept focus on only that mission. Even missions that didn't pay anything offered the occasional boon, be it a random wrecked ship to scoop up to repair, or a visit to a faction selling weapons I'd not seen yet. And boy howdy, that was when it really began to click. By the way, I spent this entire time farting around randomly in the simulator and not once thought to target my enemies. I don't know if I missed it during the tutorial or what. Once I knew what weapons were pulverizing my shields, I made sure to buy them for a couple bucks, throw them on my shitty pirate ships, and watch the AI, which is impressively skillful when left to their own devices, absolutely wreck. Ultimately, I decided I needed to stop being a giant pussy about the combat and losing my fleet, now that I was impressed with the game and wanted to see what horrors await. I welcomed defeat, I'd ripped victory from the clutches of my enemies, including some of the local religious extremist Amish folks, so now I want to try something stupid. See what a pirate base can do. And so it was. I had a trench stomped in my ass. Again. Unsurprisingly. A few of my fleet slipped away from what was likely an unwinnable shit show I proudly flew into, but I actually feel like I gave it my all and was rewarded with a proper ass-kicking and experience. Much like Kenshi, I struggled and thrashed against the game because I never afforded it the patience it required. My expectations weren't to get good with any kind of speed, and with respect to the time I'd spent playing it, I'm still a raging shit tempest of bad at it. I know some veteran players are scratching their heads or boiling over about a lack of touching on colony management, production, and all-out factional war, plus the unmentioned remnants and what they're all about, or maybe even mods that address some of the gripes I've had. But I did enjoy reaching back in to see what Starsector had become while I've been away, as it's still in development. I'm not done, not by a long shot, but for now, because of wavering motivation and available mental strength to dedicate to it, I'm signing off to play in the background. If you don't know, playing for a reason sucks away some of the enjoyment. Like transforming any hobby into a job, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. That is, until somebody calls to bitch and cry about deadlines or money or some other shit, which is why I don't fuck with any of that. Good luck out there, folks. We all need it.